Coming up on this episode of Rural Route, we'll visit a farm in Paulding County, Ohio that not only provides dairy to Dannon Yogurt, but they've hit the genomic lottery. And then, in honor of the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, we'll visit astronaut Neil Armstrong's hometown. This tiny town is taking big steps to be noticed as one of the nicest communities in the region. And it does help a little bit that they serve up the world's largest moon pie. And we'll head over to Antwerp, Ohio, where you'll see a unique small-town business model and feel like you're back in the 1950s. Wait, we're not done. This average-looking house in Wapakoneta, Ohio, has a secret in its backyard. That and more is all next. Greentop Acres Dairy Farm is located in Haviland, Ohio. This 1,200-plus dairy farm has an interesting and inspiring business model. They give people second chances. They help those wanting to immigrate, those homeless, and even those needing a second chance who have found themselves on the wrong side of the law.
Probably maybe a couple of the aspects of that have been helpful to us is, one is with us providing the housing, there's probably some benefit that they are able to get out of some situations that they're in into a different environment. And it also allows them to build up, just as you said, some work history, some credibility, and some financial resources maybe to go out and rent an apartment. And several of them, I believe, have went to different factories and have had some success there. And that's certainly, not only does it help us, but we feel that it's good for our community and good for the person. One thing that being the size we are allows is very specific, very specialized workforce in that area. So, for example, the lady that takes care of our maternity area, she probably delivers somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 calves a year.
Wow.
And so she is obviously an expert at that.
Right.
And same with treating cows. The guys and gals that treat cows, that's what they do all day. We call it somewhat of a cow person. A cow person, they can walk by a cow and say something's not right, whereas I look at her and she looks very similar to the next cow. But that is one advantage of our size. It allows us to specialize.
So you indicated that your mama cows, birth cows, that you end up milking someday. How do you know if she's going to be a good cow to milk?
Yeah, good question. So all of our baby calves, heifer calves, are genomic tested. So when we put an ear tag in, we save a little piece of DNA and we send it once a month to a lab, and they analyze that DNA, and from that, by the time she's 2 months old, we know all kinds of things about her. How tall she'll be, the shape of her udder, how much milk she'll give, how much fat, how much protein, and several other metrics.
You're able to determine exactly the physical traits of what the cow's going to be because you've selected the semen from a particular bull.
Correct.
And then you're taking the DNA sample, so you're really able to determine exactly what she's going to be like.
We can. Matter of fact, we have had over the years a couple little heifers that I say have hit the genomic lottery. And so they got all the good genes from their mom and all the good genes from their dad. And all of that information is available to the public, and there are companies that specialize in genetics that every week they are looking to see what new animals are out there. And so that is been very exciting for us because we have, like I mentioned, had a couple heifers that we have sold to those companies for about 50 to 100 times the normal value of a heifer. That's right. And it has been fun to see some of those offspring of those animals are now bulls that are producing that we can buy semen from. So it's kind of neat to see that happen.
We've seen cows all over the place that are gonna give birth, but I haven't seen a bull.
Okay, we don't have any bulls. And the reason we don't have any bulls is all of our cows are artificially inseminated. And this does a couple things. One is we don't have to worry about big mean bulls running around in the pens. The other thing it allows us to do is we can use the top bulls from all over the world. And so we contract with different companies based on the bulls that we want to use, and we have a technician on staff then that artificially inseminates the cows.
So it goes back to that animal health again. You're able to select the best father for that cows to increase your herd with the animal that you want in 2 years to have your milking.
That's exactly right. And as I mentioned, all of our milk goes into yogurt production. That's a high protein product. So we would tend to select for a little higher protein animal versus if our milk, for example, was going into butter, we would select for a higher fat producing animal.
So you've showed us cows, and then you've talked about the ear tags and how you're able to monitor how she's performing. Now, what if something comes up and you realize that she's not producing like she should? I mean, what's the next step? What happens?
So the next step for us would be we would take that animal down to our hospital facility, and there she would have a team that specifically focuses on, we call it herd health. And they would check her very similar to us going to an emergency room or a doctor's office. They would take temperature, they would physically look at her, they would try to determine what it is that's ailing her, and then they would treat her accordingly. And she would be kept in a special area where she could be observed daily. There would be a little bit more room there to allow her to recover and so forth.
I was generally impressed that you can tell that they care about their animals.
Yes.
And it's more than just a business sense. This is my livelihood. This is my investment. But they care about their animals. And I never anticipated that they wanted to make, that it was bigger than the animals. And like you mentioned, that they're investing themselves in people.
They invest in people, and when Trent Stoller walked through those barns, did you notice all those cows stuck their heads out wanting him? But then when we tried to go, they were like, whoa!
New people! New people! They want any part of that.
No, it's nice being around or having a company here in rural America that invests in people, and they take genuinely fantastic care of their animals.
You know, perhaps maybe they should incorporate into their training, though, something to teach the cows the importance of social media. Because the cows wanted nothing to do with the selfie.
Totally not.
They're missing the boat.
We should go try to get some.
The cows. What's a cow selfie called? Cow selfie. It's a
Kelfie?
Kelfie. I was thinking like a movie.
Oh,
nice.
God.
Yeah. I knew that they took great pains in making sure that their animals were properly treated, that they had medical attention in times of need, because those cows, those girls, are their livelihood. But I had no idea that they would be able to determine how productive she would be later in her life. That surprised me.
The cows are, well, one, super friendly, and two, they are, I would say, better taken care of than my own children. To me, the other thing too that I loved about this visit was that this dairy operation, they give people second chances. They help people that are homeless get jobs. They have housing for them. The other thing that they do is they even give felons another break. They give second chances, and you don't find that in a lot of places in corporate America, but you will find that in rural America.
Coming up on Rural Route, interesting facts you never knew about Neil Armstrong, like he might not have been the first choice to step on the moon. Plus, an average house on the front turns out to be not so average in the back. That's coming up, but first, when you enter into Wapakoneta, Ohio, you just feel the excitement. This town spent over 2 years preparing for the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. It's their annual Moon Festival, but this year they went big, displaying art all throughout the town, holding fun events like a wiener dog race, unveiling new statues of Neil Armstrong, and oh yes, they even had an inflatable astronaut. First on our bucket list was to make a stop at the Neil Armstrong Museum.
The first thing you notice when you come into the museum is this beautiful jet. This is called the Sky Lancer, and it is the jet that Neil Armstrong practiced his emergency maneuvers on.
Inside the museum, there are simulators, all sorts of cool art, and my favorite, you get to see spacesuits. And don't forget to stop at the gift shop because they have everything. Everything from astronaut bracelets to helmets to astronaut food. And make sure you stop by to even see if you're tall enough to be an astronaut.
Here now. I'm like, now I could be an astronaut.
Following the Apollo 11 mission, Neil Armstrong worked for NASA, taught aerospace engineering at the University of Cincinnati, and then bought a 200-acre dairy farm near Lebanon, Ohio. Bet you didn't think I was going to say that. News reports have emphasized Armstrong's quiet nature for years and how he avoided the limelight, and it appears the seclusion of a dairy farm fit him to the T. So was Armstrong the first choice to step on the moon? He was the commander of Apollo 11, but typically the junior person, Buzz Aldrin in this case, would step outside first so that the more senior person would be left safely behind the controls and in better position to take action in an emergency. But in this case, NASA decided it would be more symbolic if the commander took on that responsibility. So it was Neil Armstrong who took that first step. Quaint historical shops, a vibrant art district, and a team of enthusiastic residents in Wapakoneta, Ohio, make their annual Moon Festival a success every year. But this year, they're knocking it out of the park, especially because it's the 50th anniversary of the Moonwalk.
Well, I'm a retired art teacher, and anything that was artistic was put in my hands. Our first project was these face cutouts that you're seeing around town, where we did 13 of those. And then we did stencils, and we put those on driveways. And then we, as you see over here on the wall, we're selling those now on stones. So I designed that stencil and printed those. And then we wanted a really big stencil, like a 48 by 48, and I made arrangements with a company called Everyday Technologies, and they lasered it out. So anything that was artistic, I was the person that was doing that. I think, a lot of the things that they've started we're going to continue, like the face cutouts. Obviously, there's a lot of merchandise here that, like in Riverside Art Center, all this merchandise wasn't here last year, obviously, because it wasn't the 50th anniversary. So. Well, I think right now what draws everybody together is this Neil Armstrong. He's the hometown hero, and he's in the news because everybody wants to have somebody from their hometown that was famous or whatever, So that draws a lot of people together, especially the people that are like my age, because that's 50 years ago. And a lot of these, I talk to people, they weren't even born, but they're still jumping right in, and a lot of the people in this community have a lot of pride. We have a lot of pride in our school system and our downtown business and all of those things. So. Well, this Riverside Art Center has been here for several years, and with an art center, you can be hanging on by a thread. But when we worked with the First on the Moon committee with this, we wanted to get some visuals out there, some the stencils on the streets, the face cutouts, and all of those things. And I'm just really, really pleased with everything we've come up with. you know, very creative, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing it.
Well, it really is, I believe, the fact that we really have each other's backs. We really support one another, whether it's through the retail, whether it's inviting you into the community as a new resident, whether you're a new retail person. It's all about hospitality, and we pride ourselves in that. We really, really do. I had a couple from Nebraska that I spoke with, and they love the aesthetics of the community, but they said above and beyond all of that is we look within the community, and we see really good things, and I think it's pride, the pride you have, and that's what we share. We feel it and experience it that way. Yeah, we love it.
And our goal has been to be progressive and say yes to a whole lot of things that we've never said yes to before, and see where it takes us.
And what are some of the things that you've said yes to?
So we have said yes to book our authors, not, you know, saying it only has to be at the library or the museum. We've had them here, several. Lots of artists. We have over 20 artists here in our gallery, and they sell their merchandise here. A lot of those cannot afford to have their own gallery, so we subsidize with them, and they help us, you know, pay our rent and support us here. So we had a committee of about 25 of us, and we would meet and we would talk about, like, what are our plans, how are we going to raise money, what are we going to do, and you know, I'm sitting in this meeting and they're all like, well, you have merchandising background, Deb, you're the president of the Art Center, would you take on the merchandise and would you be the lead for it? So I thought, here's the yes that you get to say yes to that takes you somewhere you never went before. So yeses provided us the opportunity for people to come in our doors that have never come in here before. It's really open doors, and people come here and say, wow, this is a cute little gift shop. It's art, it's the 2019 celebration merchandise, and it's also classes, exhibits, and events. So a little bit of everything we do here.
So we visited Wapakoneta for their annual Moon Festival, stepped up for their 50th anniversary of the Moonwalk. But there was one last thing that we had to do. We had to check out the world's largest moon pie made in honor for this great event. And in case you didn't know, the moon pie is a sweet southern snack that originated back in 1917. It's made with 2 graham crackers with marshmallow filling and a chocolate coating. Moon pies are produced in a bakery in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it supposedly got its name from a Kentucky coal miner. A traveling salesman by the name of Earl Mitchell asked some coal miners if they'd like a snack while taking a break, and one of those coal miners said, well, sure, you fix me up a graham cracker with some marshmallow. But he said, make it as big as the moon, which is what inspired the name Moon Pie. Still to come on Rural Route, do you have a craving for real root beer? Well, then stick around, because we found a place considered one of the best places to get the best root beer in the country. And taking a chance on small town America pays off for one young business owner. That and more is coming up, but first. This incredible yard belongs to Jim Bowser. It's called the Temple of Tolerance, located in Wapakoneta, Ohio. It took him 25 years to build. Now, it looks like a normal house on the front, but when you walk to the back, there's a lot of space because the owner owns the entire center of the block, and he has definitely utilized that space. While you're in this majestic place, you're overstimulated with every which way you look. Some of the favorites of the locals are a concrete slab that bank robber John Dillinger leapt over, and even the jail door where his famous gang stood behind. And then there's another attraction, this barrel house. This is the only house in the U.S. deliberately built to resemble a barrel. You can see the bullet holes in this structure from Prohibition. The Temple of Tolerance is always open 24/7, and admission is free, but donations are accepted. It's unattended, so don't feel weird if you're going to be going into somebody's backyard. That's what you're supposed to be doing. But be prepared for one unique experience. Still to come on Rural Route. Taking a chance on small town America pays off for one young business owner. That and more is coming up, but first.
Well, I mean, we're famous for the Coney dogs, so you want a Coney dog? Sure.
We have 40 kids that work here with ball schedules and everything. Everybody's bouncing from shift to shift, and we accommodate those hours. They all do fantastic work. They are kids, so they do a fantastic job. I'm proud of my kids. Love them all, and they do a great job. So yeah, they're good kids.
I know growing up in this area, there's always been this mystery about the Coney sauce because it was so unique. Is it really special?
It is. It's very special. That's what keeps bringing people back. It's a secret. It's a fine product.
Do you
really
have
is.
a pet dog that has the secret and that would go on that TV?
No, we're not giving that up. No. That's not going to happen.
Now, Matt didn't give up that secret recipe, but he did give us a tip on how things end up tasting so good.
Okay, so we know you have a special sauce, but you also have some special equipment. Tell us a little bit about that.
We do. We have the original 1950s equipment that makes the root beer. It's a draft system that's amazing, very technical, but we make our root beer once a day, so it's fresh, and it's not going to taste the same out of a regular fountain machine. It's different, so it's a fantastic product.
Anything else for you?
Do you have ice cream here?
Yes, we do.
Could you spill some in the root beer?
Yeah, like a root beer float.
That's a great idea. You're like a snacking genius.
Not just the locals love this place. People from all over the country come to Antwerp, Ohio to taste their root beer and to grab a Coney dog.
Pretty cool. I mean, they do come from all over. It's very well known. I've had phone conversations with a salesperson from New York City, and when I said the root beer stand, they said, the root beer stand in Antwerp, Ohio? And I said, that's it. And they said they purposely come here or visit family from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and they fly into Detroit specifically to come here.
Ooh, that's the best part.
We're like 3 ones. They're like runaway curds. You can tell they're fresh because they squeak. That's how you know if you got a good curd.
When you go home to your wife, are you going to tell her that I was videotaping you up close eating curds?
Here you go. 114 pounds of sugar.
Woo!
That's how many mugs does that make? Ooh, I couldn't even tell you because what you have to do is you have to separate it with water. So after you put in the syrup and you put in the sugar, after it all dissolves together, that's when we put it into the root beer system right there, and then it all comes through to the tapperware. So hundreds and hundreds easily. Is usually what it comes out to. Yeah, some sticky business with the sugar water here, but it's worth it.
So what do you guys, I'll start with you while you're sitting. What do you like about working here?
Oh goodness, like since it's like really close to home and everything, there's like everyone's just so connected. It's a lot of fun.
Well, we're sisters.
Yeah,
We're sisters?
we are, and so we live like 5 minutes away from here, and it's a great place to work. Especially when you live close to home, you don't have to make a really big commute.
Yeah.
And I car hop here, and just getting to see everybody, it's just so nice because then I don't know, I get to talk to everyone, and you know, there's a lot of regulars here. Small town, you're definitely gonna have regulars, but it's just nice seeing people that I haven't seen in a while, getting to know people, seeing their kids, seeing all the dogs in the cars, putting up the trays. It's just, I don't know, it's a whole different atmosphere than like working at a waitress at a restaurant, you know, but it's just fun. It really is, and that's hard to say sometimes about a job, but it's fun to work here.
While in Antwerp, Ohio, we found out about a new business there that turns trash into treasure. So we had to check it out.
And tell us how you got your start here.
Well, my mom and my aunt were kind of always dreamed of having an antique shop or, just a shop in town. And so they retired and decided that it was a venture that they wanted to start. And I was ready at this point, and I said I'd manage it. So we just kind of decided to go for it.
And is there any particular reason why you picked Antwerp?
We live here and it's our place, so that's where we wanted to be. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now tell us a little bit about how you might find a piece of furniture that most might put it on the roadside to be picked up by the garbage, but you take it and turn it and transform it into a unique piece of art.
Okay, well I guess we all kind of can have the vision, can kind of see what things can be. And my aunt is our picker, and she will sometimes literally on the roadside find things. Sometimes a lot of what she does is online auctions, and she'll bid on pieces and pick them up. We do a little bit of thrifting and garage sailing, but we just kind of can see, what pieces can be.
What's one of your favorite piece stories? Like any favorites that you were like, it really turned out better than you ever thought?
I have a dresser in the back that, it had been painted a million times. It was ancient. And I was at the point, I do a lot of painting pieces white, and I love white, but I get to the point where I need color, and so I just got out every color I think we have in the back, and I just started putting it on there and did kind of a bohemian technique, and that was like my favorite because it started out ugly, like you needed to be able to see, what it could be, and I love it now. So.
Do you know what the bohemian technique is?
All I can think of is some goofy song.
No,
help me out. What
tell us what the bohemian technique is.
Bohemian, it's kind of, I don't know, just kind of a wild, washy paint look, and I just take different colors and I literally spray it with water and kind of slop it on there. It's just kind of a fun, and then when it dries, you can sandpaper out and it just comes to life.
If you've always wanted to be a business owner, but you're a little nervous, well, do this trick that Ann Klein is doing. She is teaming up with other vendors to make her dream of being a business owner in small town America a reality.
We share with Barnwood Creations. A guy named Eric was in here before us actually, and he tears down old barns locally and then will build furniture decor out of those barnwood pieces. Well, I think all of us who've started businesses here in the last year, we grew up here. We remember going uptown and walking uptown and grabbing an ice cream cone. I remember walking into the antique shop with my grandma and just looking around at the cool things. Bowling, we bowled as kids, and so all these things that us, in our 30s had when we were kids, and then it went away. We're all kind of just motivated to bring them back.
Erica, one of the things I think I learned here the most is that when you have somebody who has a dream and a drive to make it a reality, it's contagious, and other people get energized by that, and they want to chase theirs as well. And that's what we're seeing right here in this community. We're seeing somebody who has a passion to follow through, and it encourages and empowers other people to do the same thing.
Well, on that note, if anybody is out there that's ever had a thought about starting their own business, there's no better place than starting it in small town America, because I'm telling you right now, you will be embraced by the residents that live there.
Can I eat now?